So let's talk about deciding where to bank offshore. And this is a super important topic, everyone overlooks it, and it's one of two massive problems that we see clients making all the time before they come to us for help, which is choosing the wrong country. The second problem is choosing the wrong banks. Now, bank selection is extremely nuanced and it requires a much more detailed look at each person's profile. But country selection is something that we can dive into in a video like this, and I can give you some actionable steps to start choosing the right countries for your situation. Now, this isn't rocket science, obviously, but it does take some planning and some thought. And that's because every country has its own rules, regulations, and then banks, they interpret those rules differently, while also catering to specific clients. So if you're not careful, it's really easy to get caught up in a cycle of applying in the wrong places, which just results in failed application after failed application. Which basically means a lot of lost time, a lot of lost money that you could have avoided. And that's exactly what I'm gonna try and help you with today. Now, if this is your first time on the channel, my name is Chris and I'm the head of banking relationships at GlobalBanks. We help investors, entrepreneurs, and businesses solve cross-border banking challenges. And a big part of this is helping our clients determine which countries are best suited to their banking needs. And to do that, we typically answer a few key questions. Okay, one quick point. This video, it's going to focus on helping you determine where to open personal accounts offshore. Business banking is a bit more nuanced and does require a deeper dive into other important areas. I'm going to dig into those business specific topics in an upcoming video and all about how to decide where to bank your business offshore. So if you have a business and you want help figuring out where to bank, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you do get alerted when that video is posted. And one last point, we get a lot of people coming to us looking to bank in a specific country. When that's the case, our goal is obviously to help them open accounts in that specific country. So the questions I'm about to walk you through, they're designed to help you determine where to bank if you don't already have a specific country in mind. If, like a lot of our clients, you need to bank in a specific country, then you should use the free resources on our website dedicated to whichever country you want to bank in. And if you still need help after that, you can contact us however you like and we'll help you get started. Okay, now let's get into the questions for personal account opening offshore. And the first question is, what's your client profile? High level, what I'm asking here is your citizenship and residency. For our clients, we obviously dig a lot deeper, but just knowing your citizenship and residency will give you a solid starting point about where you can bank. And the reason that this question is important is because different citizenships and residencies can face restrictions when banking in different countries. Americans being an obvious example, they struggle to bank in a lot of places, especially if they live in the United States. But even then, there are still plenty of banking options available to them. Also, residents of countries that are currently on or have recently been removed from gray lists or blacklists, like those managed by FATF, or even country-specific lists like those from the EU and the UK, well, they're also going to face restrictions. In fact, bank compliance departments, they even have their own internal lists of countries that they're just not willing to deal with. And basically, if you live in one of these countries or a country that was recently removed from these lists, it can really hurt your chances of banking in a lot of places. So that's why this question is so important, because it automatically takes us from every country in the world to every country in the world where you could realistically bank on the most basic level, which is your citizenship and residency. Now, the second question is, what kind of bank account do you need or want? And here we're starting to drill down into the type of country and bank that you should be looking for, keeping in mind that we've already narrowed the list from, say, about 150 countries to maybe 20 or 50 countries, depending on your profile. And now we're going to start looking at your specific goals and the type of banking that you're after. If you want private banking, we're talking about one group of countries. If you want premier banking, there may be some overlap with private, but there's also going to be other countries that you can choose from. Or if you just want an offshore bank account for some basic asset protection and insulation from economic troubles back home, that can be a much wider group of countries, and it can include both retail, premier, and private banking. Now, if the type of account that you want access to is an EU account with SEPA transfers, then that obviously puts more constraints on where you can open. And we would start by narrowing down your options from there, similar to how we'd look at assisting you if you just wanted to open in a specific country. And a quick way to start narrowing down your options is our third question, which is, where do you have ties and what ties are those? Now, just to clear up the whole concept of ties doesn't necessarily mean where you are a resident or where you own real estate. It can be anything from visiting the country, having family in a country, etc., whatever connections you have. Up until a few years ago, you could even get away with saying you had plans on investing in the country, and that's why you needed a local bank account. Though that doesn't work anymore, at least not in any of the countries that are worth banking in. So the reason that ties are important is because it helps the banks rationalize why you want to bank in the country. And that's a really important point, especially in this hypersensitive banking environment where everyone everyone is a suspect until they've proven themselves trustworthy to the bank. Though I should mention that there are still countries where you can open bank accounts and you do not need local ties. In those places, banks will usually be comfortable with onboarding clients who are just looking for extra stability, a safer economy, and even a stronger currency. Though these countries with these policies, they tend to be in the premier and private banking space, which is a good segue into question number 4, which is how much money can you deposit and keep in the account? Now, this is pretty straightforward. What's your number? Is it 5,000, 25,000, 50,000, 150,000, 250,000, 500,000, or $1 million and up? Those are the rough tiers when it comes to international banking that most people should be thinking through. And basically your answer to this question, it's gonna narrow down your options further and leads us to our final question, which is, do you wanna open remotely? Now I put this question at the end intentionally, and that's because it doesn't actually change anything. It doesn't matter. As I've shared, about 95% of our clients, they open accounts remotely around the world. And I think the number's actually a little bit higher than that, but let's just stick with 95%. And that means if you want to open bank accounts remotely in almost any country in the world, you can. Even in places that everyone says you can't open remotely, like the United States, you can, we know, because we help our clients do it all the time. So those are the 5 questions that will help you narrow down your banking options. And we obviously get a lot more granular when someone signs up for our account opening services, but those are the high level considerations that will get you started in the right direction. Now, in terms of which countries are good places to bank, I've done a few videos on this topic recently, including the best places to bank offshore, the easiest places to open offshore accounts, and the 11 countries that everyone tells you to bank in that you should actually avoid. So I'll link a few of those at the end of this video. But right now, if you like this type of banking video, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to the channel so you get alerted the next time that we publish. And if you do want to start looking at where you should open offshore accounts, here's the video that I mentioned with the best places to bank, and here are the easiest countries for offshore account opening right now. So choose the video that's best for you, and I'll see you over there right now.